Hello, my name's Phil Jackman, and welcome to this week's In Conversation, in which I talk to people in the Northeast's dynamic and exciting cybersecurity industry. Brought to you by CyberNorth, Dynamo Northeast's cybersecurity cluster. We're supported by Accenture and the Innovation Super Network, and we're also part of UK Cyber Cluster Collaboration, or UKC3, and recognised by DCMS and the National Cybersecurity Centre as representing the region. Today, I'm joined by James Sunley, Senior Cloud Security Specialist of Deltek. Hi, James. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, Phil. Yeah.
Good. So my first question then is, can we start telling us a bit about yourself and your role at Deltek?
So I graduated from university at the University of Sunderland in 2018, so relatively new into the industry. And then started off my career as a software engineer, went through a graduate scheme at Sage, and then made the transition over to Deltek to move into cybersecurity. The role at Deltek is pretty much an AppSec role, working primarily with cloud products. I guess the main part of the role is to work with the products that are developed in Europe. It's essentially working with development teams and application development teams to, just improve their security posture.
Excellent. So I'd like to ask you about an interesting change that's going on in the market since COVID. And I think that's true of you as well. A number of people living in the Northeast, but working for firms that aren't based in the Northeast. I think Deltek is one of them. How did that come about?
So I guess for me, it was I was looking to move into cybersecurity anyway, and the role for Deltek was right for that. I'd started working from home like everybody else when I was at my previous company at Sage, when the pandemic hit. And then in terms of moving to Deltek, I was approached on LinkedIn, and it just sort of spiraled from there, really. It was approached from a recruiter within Deltek.
And tell us a bit about Deltek. I think you hinted at the cloud operators, but what do they do?
So they're based out of Washington DC in the US. That's where their headquarters is. They sent their main product of project management software for sort of large scale products and projects. They've sort of scaled over time by acquisition, which has led to them essentially getting offices all over the world, including two in the UK, one in London and one in Nottingham. They're moving to cloud now.
And presumably that sort of global reach, having people working from home allows them to do that better?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something they've done for a while. They've always had remote workers, but they've taken on a bigger role with that as they've after the pandemic's happened. I think they've made the decision that nobody has to go back to the office if they don't want to. Obviously, some people who are living close to offices will, but they've made the decision that it's your choice.
And where would your nearest office be?
Nottingham, I think, is probably the closest.
I guess what the answer is to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what attracted you to this role? I think you've already mentioned it, but and also how has the onboarding process been since you've got, how easy was it to change jobs and really not go to the office?
So I guess the main attraction was I was looking for a cybersecurity role. But I think with the role that I'm in, when I was hired, I was the only person within the security team based physically in Europe. So there was a lot of scope to make the role my own, and have a lot of input on how the security team was growing and how the security at Deltek was developing. That was one of the big factors. But in terms of onboarding, it's been fairly smooth. I think with them already having a lot of remote workers, it was made easier. Even with having my manager and things being based in the US, it's gone remarkably smoothly. Obviously everything's been virtual, and I haven't actually met anyone face to face yet, but everything's went fairly smoothly. All of my equipment and things was shipped to my home address and things, and it was totally new to me doing an onboarding process remotely, and first time I'd done anything like that. As far as that sort of thing goes, it went well.
Excellent. So you mentioned you were at Sage previously, and I think you became a lead security champion for a department. What did that mean? And does every department there have one?
so Sage have got a security champions program, which is I think it's pretty much rolled out all across the company. And the idea behind that is to have a security champion on each development team, which is essentially a volunteer or someone within the team who's dedicates part of their time to making sure that the product that their team develops is more secure, and that they're making sure that they're doing things like threat modeling, pen tests, that sort of thing on their product. And in terms of the lead security champion role, that's more just as a sort of department-wide lead. So there may be multiple development teams within a particular department, and the lead role is to work with them to communicate with everyone together and make it more of an inclusive team of security champions within the department.
So really building in security right from the start, yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea, yeah, and it takes a lot of pressure off the security teams to have someone within the development teams themselves, so that they don't need to know the ins and outs of every product, because there's a developer there who can essentially do that.
Excellent. And was this your first introduction to security, or was this something you've always been interested in?
I guess from a professional and working point of view, it probably was. But at university, I'd studied a few modules on cybersecurity, and then I was involved a little bit with cybersecurity on my placement year. But yeah, the security champion role is what I guess gave me the experience and knowledge to be able to move from software engineering into cybersecurity full time.
Excellent. So going back to your time at university, you did an internship as software engineer. Is there some parallel between, or are there some skills that you can learn as a software engineer which can be applied to the cybersecurity role that you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it helps a lot, especially with an AppSec role, because you know how the software development teams work. So I guess all the processes that they're going to go through in terms of sort of agile software development, and it gives you the background and knowledge to be able to provide, I guess, technical answers to some of their problems. So when someone from an AppSec team is sort of saying to a development team, you need to fix X, Y, and Z problem, but it's going to cause a load of other problems for them, you can provide a more reasonable solution. And I guess you understand the pressures that they're under as well. I guess it just gives a lot more of an understanding of how both sides of the fence work.
Excellent, yes, as well. I guess the whole world of work is now working in a cloud environment. So how has this changed the face of cybersecurity, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's changed the face of tech in general, but I guess in terms of cybersecurity itself, there's been a bigger shift in terms of transferring the risk. So a lot of risk that would have been there originally as part of sort of an on-premise software is being able to be transitioned to large sort of cloud providers, so like AWS's and Azure, and I guess it takes away a lot of risk from companies sort of, I guess, like Deltek and Sage, who no longer have a lot of the responsibility that they would have had a few years ago. But there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there always will be. I suppose it takes some of the headaches away, but leaves other headaches back at the businesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so my last question for you then, James, is this has been a very challenging year, very interesting year for you, by the looks of it. Looks like we're finally getting back to some sort of normality. What are your hopes in terms of the future?
Yeah, I guess initially for me, with me being as new as I am to cybersecurity, is to keep building that experience and skills that I'm working on at the moment. But I think longer term, it would be to look into, I guess, a leadership role of some sort within cybersecurity. But I guess, yeah, the main thing for me would be to stay in cybersecurity, but in the Northeast if I can. And I guess this shift to remote working has made that more possible.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for that, James. I'd also like to thank Robert Campbell, who's helping to set up these in conversations. He works in the background. I'm wearing my CyberFest t-shirt because it's the last event tonight. It'll all be over by the time you see this, although we'll be releasing the videos throughout October. So look out for the next series, and if you'd like to take part, please get in touch. Thanks very much, James.
That was In Conversation with Phil Jackman, lead for CyberNorth. Audio and video production was by me, Robert Campbell. This was a Team Fans production for Dynamo Northeast.